Hello and welcome to the NFC North edition of the Low Man Wins Draft Grades. I'm Andrew Miller, that's Alex Kramer, and let's just jump right into it. We're going to do the NFC North now, so we're going to start with my home team, the Detroit Lions. I thought they had a pretty good draft. I gave them a B. I love their pick of Jeff Okudah. That was the guy you had to take. Juliano Kawara, if he can stay healthy, was great value in the third. He can finally be an edge rusher for the Detroit Lions. Jonah Jackson, you get in Logan Sternberg. Logan Sternberg was one of my man crushes. You just get big guys up there. I always love that. And you get your prototypical wide receiver in Quintez Cephas. You have to have a good draft class will get a wide receiver in this class. Outside of that, I don't know who Jason Huntley is, and I don't know why you drafted him. You already drafted a running back in DeAndre Swift, and the draft grade really comes from my dislike of the DeAndre Swift pick. I think DeAndre Swift, he was my number 4 overall running back. I think he's a good running back. I think he could be a really solid option. I don't think he'll ever be a superstar. And I think for a team that's trying to win now, play for their jobs, I think they got at best to a 6-10 record after this draft. And DeAndre Swift, I think you had Kerryon Johnson, and you invested in Kerryon Johnson. It's not like he's a pullover from the previous regime. This was the guy you drafted to be your running back, and you just pick another one who's supposed to work in a bell cow role. I gave it a B because I liked a lot of the picks later, especially the 2 big guards, which were my favorite players in the draft. But you drafted another running back in the 6th. I mean, come on.
I don't like that running back in the 5th. I mean, I don't know who Jason Huntley is either, so I'm not even going to acknowledge that. They got an A- for me. I really liked this class. So you got the best corner in the draft at 3. I don't think you're going to argue with that. I think that's an elite player to replace Darius Slay, who has the potential to be better than Darius Slay. DeAndre Swift's my number 1 running back in this class. I think he's a top 20 player in this class. You got him at 35. I think he's a better player than Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson has injury troubles. You were starting Ty Johnson and Bo Scarborough last year. I think you needed help at running back. You got the best one in the draft at 35. I don't really hate that pick. I mean, I think it's a really good one. Juliano Kawara has all the traits to be an elite pass rusher in the NFL. He has not put them together. If he gets a year or 2 to develop, I mean, in the 3rd round, you got a guy who can be a difference maker. I mean, and then you look at Jonah Jackson and Logan Stenberg. If you combine them, they are an all-pro guard. I mean, Jonah Jackson was an elite and pass pro at Rutgers. He proved himself at Ohio State. Stenberg is your big mauler, the guy you had a man crush on. He's great. He's a great run blocker. But, I mean, they're going to have to develop and they're going to have to get better. But I like the upside of both of them. And Quintez Cephas, he had some off-the-field struggles at Wisconsin. But, I mean, when he was on, he was one of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten. So I do like that pick a lot. I mean, A- for me. There's a lot of potential in this class. You're right. I'm not sure how much it helps them next year. But, I mean, not every draft class is going to have those 4 or 5 immediate impact players. But I thought the Lions did a really good job answering some questions.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, if there was a running back, I would have been okay with him taking it that spot. It would have been DeAndre Swift, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board. I had him behind J.K. Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor, but I don't think Jonathan Taylor would fit in the Lions offense at this point. I think he got into a perfect situation. But, yeah, I mean, I'm a Lions fan. I can't help it. This team has disappointed me year after year after year my whole life.
Fair enough.
This draft felt better than other ones, especially because I love my big guys. That's how I like to build the team. And hopefully they can finally go. I mean, think about that interior. Logan Stenberg, Frank Ragnow, and Jonah Jackson. Those are 3 huge people with massive name strength. It's kind of what I really like to see in an offensive line. But moving on, we'll go to the Chicago Bears, who I think are getting a little too crapped on for their draft class, if you ask me. They didn't have a lot of picks, but when their first 2 picks are pretty good. And that's kind of what their whole draft class ended up really being. People make fun of the Cole Kmet pick because it's their 10th tight end that they've taken. But I think it's just a position that they valued, and they missed on Adam Shaheen, and they signed Jimmy Graham as a stopgap. But Cole Kmet is special. He's the one tight end in this class. I'm he could be a Gronk or a Travis Kelce or something like that. Not like that, but something in that vein. Jaylen Johnson, I think, is perfect for what they do. They want a physical press corner on the other side to complement Kyle Fuller. I love that pick, especially because I didn't think the first round talk was great about him. But, I got to be honest, Travis Gibson, they didn't have a pick till the 5th round after that. So it's kind of hard to, argue their, value. But the only pick I really liked was Arlington Hambright out of Colorado in the 7th. So I gave their draft, a B- because there were really only 2 picks of this class to me.
Yeah, I completely disagree with you. I hated this team's draft. I'll talk about the player I liked at the end, but this team had a major hole, and it wasn't Mitchell Trubisky. It was their offensive line.
Yeah.
And they didn't take an offensive lineman until the 7th round. And one of the guys they took I had never heard of in Simmons. So, I can't give it a high grade knowing that you didn't address the one need on your team. Jaylen Johnson is a great player. You're 100% right. He fits what they need. I love that pick. There's significant injury concerns there. There's a reason he fell in the 2nd round.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Kmet solves anything. I think he could be good, but does that make them a playoff team? Does that make them a viable contender? I don't think so. Are you going to say something? You want to argue about that one?
I think they're a playoff team. I think that they're contenders for the NFC North. I think that they've been looking for that tight end. It's been a key to their offense they haven't been able to find. They've tried with Adam Shaheen and Trey Burton, and now they're trying with Jimmy Graham, and they're hoping Cole Kmet hits. And I like that. I like that when you want something, you do whatever it takes to get it. If it doesn't work, and you're not afraid to move on if it doesn't work. And I like that. And I think Ryan Pace has been an underrated GM. The Mitchell Trubisky will live over his head forever. But you're right. This is a weird draft. I remember I was talking to my friend who's a Chicago Bears fan, and he just reminded me, yeah, did you remember that Kyle Long retired? I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot that Kyle Long retired. But I love James Daniels, Cody Whitehair. They need tackle help outside. So you're right. I think that they could have done better. A B- is probably.
They need another guard.
Yeah. It's making me rethink my B- grade. I might give them a C.
I give them a D-.
I might be giving them a C-, C plus C range now. So with some hindsight, so you've convinced me, Kramer. You finally did it.
It took a while.
Minnesota Vikings set, I think, a modern record for number of picks made in this draft class, right?
That day 3 haul is you gotta hit on some of those picks.
Yeah, I gave them an A. I think I'm giving this draft class an A.
I did too.
Justin Jefferson was a great get in the 1st round. You lost 3 cornerbacks this summer, the 3 cornerbacks you've been relying on for the past 5 years. Getting Jeff Gladney to me was not a reach. He just wasn't my favorite cornerback on the board. Christian Fulton was, but if you like him, good for you. Ezra Cleveland, I think he's gonna do the same thing that Brian O'Neill did, play right tackle while Brian O'Neill plays left and develop a little bit. I don't think he was a 1st-round player at all. Cam Dantzler was a great get in the 3rd. I thought he was a 2nd-round player. He can be another, just in case, Jeff Gladney insurance. DJ Wooden I thought was okay, but James Lynch and Troy Dye were the guys. I was like, okay, this is a great class because James Lynch is a huge guy. He's a great penetrator, but Troy Dye was one of my man crushes in this class. He reminded me a lot of Eric Kendricks, who's already on the Vikings. Just a great coverage guy. And then you get Harrison Hand, who was a good guy, who's a good player. Josh Metellus can be another decent safety ad. And then you get Kenny Willekes, who I thought was a 4th-round player in the 7th. I think just because he's a Big Ten edge rusher who came in and only met expectations and isn't the greatest athlete, but I think he could be a really good edge rusher in the NFL. So I gave this draft an A.
I also give it an A. I love the Justin Jefferson pick. He somehow fell into their lap. I think that they were running that card or running to type the name into their keyboard during the virtual draft. Gladney was my number 1 rated corner left on the board for them. I love the fit there. Getting Dantzler, getting Harrison Hand, I think they overhauled that cornerback room, and I think they did a great job there. Not an Ezra Cleveland fan. I think
Neither was I.
it's a little rich for me in the second round, but I mean, I acknowledge that you need to address that tackle position. James Lynch, I love James Lynch. I think he's going to be an elite player. I don't think he's an edge rusher. I don't know exactly where they're going to play him. I don't think it matters. I think he's just a mauler.
I
And
think
he
it's
was one of the best players on that Baylor defense. I'm excited to see what they can do with him. He's good. He's going to play a lot, and I think he's going to be great. And then Nate Stanley was my favorite day 3 quarterback before both Fromm and Eason fell. But I mean, I think Stanley's got a little bit of potential in the 7th round. I don't hate that. Giving Kirk Cousins a backup and maybe letting him learn behind him for a couple years.
Yeah, that was funny. I think Nate Stanley's ceiling is literally Kirk Cousins. So like they got basically a replica of him.
Exactly. I don't think I'll ever hit it, but I mean,
No.
you're talking about taking swings. That was my favorite swing from day 3.
Yeah, and I think James Lynch will probably be a 5 tech in the NFL. He was not my favorite day 3 quarterback, but it's a great value in the 7th. Always take a quarterback. I have never seen a player so commonly mocked to one spot and then just get passed on like Justin Jefferson. Like every mock you would read had 21 to the Eagles, Justin Jefferson.
Because no one thought Reagor would go that high. Doesn't matter. Jefferson replacing Stephon Diggs, they really. I mean, that's not much of a down.
No, not at all. I think they got a great compliment to Dillon and what he's able to do. So I think that they really knocked this out of the park with their record setting. I think was it 13 selections they made in this draft.
I thought it was closer to 20.
No,
they had every pick on day 3.
15. I think they broke a modern record with 15 draft picks. So congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings. You have a lot of capital to move on around. The next team we're going to talk about is probably the most publicized draft in all football. The Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say my feelings for this later. I think you should go first, Kramer.
It's my least favorite draft. I gave it an F. I'd give it lower than an F if I could. Rodgers just took him to the NFC Championship, and they responded by drafting his replacement. I mean, this team was close to a Super Bowl, and they just punted the ball down the field. I mean, I'm not convinced Love is ever going to develop into a top 10 quarterback. And if possible, I thought the draft got worse after they made that decision. I don't really like A.J. Dillon in the 2nd round. I mean, he could be a player. I mean, he ran fast at the combine. Combine doesn't mean much for running backs, in my opinion. They took a fullback blocking tight end in the 3rd. He wasn't even close to my highest ranked tight end. I mean, I had a 6th round grade on him. They didn't take an offensive lineman until the 6th round. And the one thing that everybody agreed the Packers needed was a wide receiver. This was the deepest wide receiver class that we've ever covered, and really in recent memory. And they didn't take a single one. I mean, from a strategy standpoint, I have no idea what the Packers are doing. Hopefully for them, Love develops in a couple of years. But I mean, this team didn't get better at any position. None of these players, I think, start for them. I mean, except maybe Josiah DeGuara. I mean, they have Aaron Jones, and their 2nd round pick is a running back. I don't understand anything about this draft. John Runyon's a Wolverine, so I guess I like that. But I mean, I'm picking at hairs here. It's an F for me.
Yeah, I gave this an F too. This is my least favorite draft probably in the last 10 years. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
There was nothing like I try to give a lot of teams the benefit of the doubt and try to think about it. What are they planning? I don't effing know, because you know what? Fine. You want to pick your quarterback? Fine. You still got to make sense later on. I like Jordan Love. I think he's perfect in sitting behind Rodgers, but you're right. He took him to a 13-3 record into the NFC Championship game, and there were 2 positions that everyone noticed were really, really bad on the Green Bay Packers: defensive tackle and wide receiver. And maybe linebacker. That was really it. And everyone's like, "Oh, the Packers are close. They're just missing a star there." And you pick Jordan Love. And fine, you know what? You have your quarterback in 4 years. Then you draft a running back in the 2nd round who has a lot of tread in his tires and probably will not play with Jordan Love. And you have already probably the best duo at running back in football in Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. It made no sense. And then you get Josiah DeGuara in the third round, who isn't a pass catching at first tight end at all. He's more of a fullback, like you're saying, in the third. And then okay, I liked Kamal Martin. There, good pick. I really liked John Runyon and Jake Hansen. But you know what the Packers really didn't need was center help. They have Corey Linsley, and they John Runyon might start they needed offensive line help, but I thought they could have gone tackle somewhere else. This was just, and they took 3 defensive players this whole draft and didn't pick one until the 5th round. Their best pick this whole draft was their 7th round pick in Jonathan Garvin at a position which they have 3 starters at. They have Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, Rashawn Gary. What are they doing? What are the Packers doing? The Packers didn't get better in this draft class. They literally punted when it's in their sound. And everything I've read, this is not the head coach's doing. He did not want this either. He didn't sign off on any of these picks. I don't know what went on in the Green Bay's Packers. And maybe this is what happened when you don't have an owner. When you are a public,
I have no idea. I mean, if they had made picks to help Rodgers after the first round, you could make an argument that Love is understandable. But the fact that none of these players really help Aaron Rodgers and help this team, for this year, I mean, it's an awful draft. I've never covered one worse. I feel bad for Packers fans. I really do.
I'm an Aaron Rodgers defender, and I feel like nothing got better. And I'll tell you what, if you're Jordan Love is a signal to the future, what draft pick is most likely to be there when Jordan Love finally starts?
Maybe Runyon.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe Runyon. I just don't get the draft at all. This is the F. If I could give an F-, I would give an F. I felt
exactly 100% agree.
This is as bad of a grade as I gave. I haven't given a grade as bad as I gave the Roberto Aguayo pick in 2015.
He made more sense there than DeGuardia made in the third.
This was awful, and that's about it. But thank you guys for listening. We're going to come at you with more draft grades very soon. Keep an eye out.